All right, good morning, Neil. Thank you again for yesterday. I want to get this right as bad as you do. And so I thought about it a lot last night, thought about it some this morning. And, the first thing I think anytime you have someone that's, highly intelligent, such as yourself, analytical, wants to know the science of it all, and then layers and layers and layers and layers of golf instruction kind of built in to your thought system, we need to do something different to break that cycle. And so my thoughts now are, if we think about things in pieces, we lose sight of the entire picture. And so, for instance, I see you working a lot on moving through impact. And so that stalls out the front side of the arc. And then at times I see you working on the backswing or transition, and then that stalls out the bottom side of the arc. And so with all that being said, we want to look at the golf swing for right now is on an arc. It's on a circle, okay? And the center of that arc, being your center of gravity, is the middle. So I want to do everything for the next little bit as a full golf swing, or as a full motion of the arc. Now, if I want to make my arc sort of half to half, I can do that. If I want to make my arc 3/4 to 3/4, or full to full, just this idea that, Iron Byron is a fixed axis point. The golf club is in a vise, so it's got 10 out of 10 grip pressure, and it's on an arc. And so they can test golf clubs that way. And so when you have the club head moving on all kinds of different planes or all kinds of different arcs, so for you it gets a little bit up, out, and shut, and then reroutes underneath, and then tries to throw late. So everything's shallow and underneath. So obviously the ball flight reflects that with a high sort of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sort of sky hook, okay? So right now, I'd like to start trending toward, let's just get it to where it's kind of the same back and through. So from this idea, from this side, it's through, okay, it's moving on an arc. And I'm the center of that arc. So a lot of golf shots the way we've hit them before. And I'd like to play around with your grip pressure somewhat being constant, firm, so that you can control that this thing isn't going to float or get affected by gravity. It's just sort of down and through, back and through. Now, with that being said, the flaws that I see, obviously we know that in order to stay back through impact, we've got to get back in the first place. So from a body movement training perspective, it's that drawing up a punch movement that gets me back into this hip. It's staying centered and loading this right hip so that this right hip can get high, so that things are set up to go in this direction. Because if this never gets loaded properly, I can't move in this direction. Everything's going to want to move under this way. So that's the first thing is, okay, how do we get this right glute back so that this left shoulder will be a little bit lower, and then that way, okay, now I'm set up to move or attack the golf ball this way. That's going to be the first thing. So we'll do some things, and all the movements from the training in terms of playing around in a mirror or just messing around with what's it feel like to have a centered body and a wound up right side. Now, from there, you never quite get into this right glute. You never quite get the right rib, or I'm going to talk in terms of a righty, so just mirror this. So you never quite get this side loaded, this side back, this side strong, and it's not set up to attack the golf ball in this direction. So we've got to get that. Now, the first move, because you've taken it, the glute hasn't gone anywhere, it's just gone up like this and this way. You never get this loaded. So the first move from the top of the backswing is this front shoulder starts to, as this wilts behind me, I'll do it from this direction. As this wilts behind me in this direction, this front shoulder raises. Okay, so that's a problem. We've got up, 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 up. Now this front shoulder starts to raise. It opens the pelvis up to come up and out of it, and everything's coming in this way, and then hopefully we can save it with the hands at the bottom. So that gets our path way out for you to left. For me, that would be way out to right field. So by winding up better, getting stronger into this right glute, then we can start to, and it's almost like if I wind up properly and have some intention of where I'm going and where I'm going, that this front shoulder will move in this direction on its own. If I don't have it wound up properly and I'm just very much in my arms, then it's gonna wanna kick this way, up. So every great player that I've mapped their front shoulder, I mean, even Rory on a driver, this left shoulder goes down this way as he moves to the bottom of his arc, because he needs his center to get to the bottom of his arc. Okay, so one way we're going to tweak this is getting to where you feel more level, or maybe even stacky tilty at setup, because you've got a lot of, for you it's your left side, for me it would be right side bend, and this left shoulder is very sort of shrugged up at setup. So the more my right side bends, the more my left side lifts. So now the right ribs compress, the left ribs overextended this way, okay? So we're already out of it here, and this shoulder's shrugged up. So we need to get out of the traps and into the pecs and level. The only reason, if I'm standing dead level, the only reason my right shoulder is somewhat lower than my left at setup is because my right hand is slightly lower on the grip. That's it. It's the only reason. So we need to get the shoulders loaded down. That puts it more into your pecs. My pecs are strong. I'm not strong up here. And this makes me want to do this kind of stuff. I need to be here loaded, because we're going to have to get that way down at the bottom to compress it, where the pecs are loaded. So I'm here, I'm level. The only reason my right shoulder is slightly lower is because my right hand is slightly lower on the club. Okay, so I want you to almost err this way. I mean, I'm cool with you going 60-40, especially with 7-iron down on your front foot for a little while. Okay, so we're that way. Okay, now we load up to the top. Okay, now I'm centered. The whole backside is loaded. I'm strong up here. If I'm loose, especially this back arm, gravity wants to do its thing. It's pulling me this way. Leaves me open to go that way. So we need this arm firm that way so it can move when the body moves. It doesn't have a mind of its own back here, okay? So we're centered, we're balanced, left shoulder's in a different spot at setup, so that's going to give the left shoulder a chance to move this way in transition to get you this way. Because all I'm doing is trying to get the club for you going more in this direction. From coming from here, we got to get it coming this way. Okay, so we're going to shift you from this guy to this guy. And I want you to play around with setup, down, level, a little this way, okay? Maybe even play with the ball off your nose, okay? Then centered pivot, and then we're attacking this thing. But this has to be strong for me to attack it, because the pressure is going to increase when you attack it, okay? So we've got setup that's going to tweak the levels so that everything's athletic and ready to move. Then we've got top of backswing. The backside gets high so that the first move isn't this, it's I'm up here supporting the weight, leveraged under the golf club. I'm going to go this way before I level out. okay? Up, down, level. Then I want you to hit a lot of shots where you feel you're into the ground and the hands aren't gonna, now you've got it coming from under here, okay? So it's gonna cause this. This is gonna wanna throw, because if this gets out of balance on the back side of the arc, it wants to get, because you're trying to get the club head back to center, but it's too early and it goes this way, so it throws on you. Once we get it more leveraged up here, it's gonna be more in between your arms coming down, so it's not gonna wanna have this tendency to throw on you as much. Okay, so we've got it wound up, leveraged, coming down, it's more between your arms, and then coming into impact. I want you to feel like you're hitting the ground and the handle and the club head and the body move together at the same speed. So homework would be watch Zach Johnson hit wedges, watch Paul Azinger hit wedges, watch Lee Trevino hit wedges. Because you've got a big time release, I want us to get the club more in front of you, and everything move together through. So if I'm hitting toward you, it's gonna look like this, that way. So from here, the hands were a little forward at impact. Now the club head, the handle, and the body match through here. So with that being said, you can't go at 100%. These are gonna be 80% flighted pitching wedges that go about 80 yards. But what we're looking for here is stability on your arc so that your start lines can be less from under here and more straight, and then your angle of attack is gonna be this way, so the ball flight's gonna come down. So think of what your arc's doing, okay? What Iron Byron setting you're in, and then what ball flight that would produce. And so what Iron Byron setting we have to get to produce a different start line, a different ball flight, a different trajectory. So, in summary, I know I rambled a lot here this morning. Centered, balanced, this is more down, we're more level. Weight's a little bit favoring the front foot for right now. Ball maybe a touch back, okay? That's setup. Then, we're centered going up. Keep working on not getting out and loose. I just want this to come up and down on the same plane. Feeling. So I've got my wrist stable. I'm gonna draw it up, okay? Okay, now I'm set up to go this way. So now we're gonna get centered, attack the ball, everything moves together. Centered, attack the ball, everything moves together. I don't wanna see you trying to fish around for, you know, glutes back, turn, but the club's over here. There's no way it's gonna get there because the club head's too far behind you. Everything's opened up this way. So your body's already trying to go up. So we need it boom, 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 boom. Everything moving rhythmically, everything moving together. Azinger, Zach Johnson, Lee Trevino. Pitching wedges, flighted, into the ground, get your start line under control, okay? This will be easier than you think. We just got to get the pressure right, the arc right, and not think of this in pieces. I want you to think of this in full motion. Because, you know, as incredible as the Tathata training is, some people get too compartmentalized. They lose sight of the full picture and the full arc. So let me know your thoughts on this. I hope this helps. I hope this summarizes. But we've got too much backside bend, which means too much front side lift. And then we're this way. And then we try to turn and stay down, but the body's set up already to go that way. Okay? So level out, get left. I mean, feel like experiment 70-30. I mean, feel this way for a while, because we need you to go. You need to become this guy for the next month to get this all cleaned up from being this guy for so long. So let's get there. I'm here for you. I love supporting you. I love the conversations. I appreciate everything. I hope this helps. Thanks, buddy.